Hey folks, welcome back to the Stoic Journey. So, you really love them. They're on your mind constantly, filling your dreams, shaping your future plans. You're already picturing a life together, the adventures, the moments, the happiness. Perfect. And to attract them, to make them obsessed with you, you're doing everything. You're giving your best, showing up as the nicest version of yourself, trying to make them see how incredible you are. You're bending over backward, rearranging your life around them, going out of your way to be the person they should want. And folks, desperation, insecurity, all of this clearly shows that you don't see your own value, your own worth. You don't have your own rules, your own standards. You're letting them define your worth. And that's the quickest way to lose respect. And let me tell you, no one, literally no one, wants to be with a person who doesn't value themselves. No one becomes obsessed with someone who's constantly trying to win their approval, who has no boundaries, no sense of self. You are already ready to become their puppet, allowing them to control you the way they want. But here's the hard truth. Nobody respects a puppet. Nobody becomes obsessed with someone who is easily controlled, someone who gives up their power just to be liked. The more you let them pull the strings, the less they see you as a person of value, and more as someone who's easily manipulated, easily replaced. Here's the brutal reality. When you hand over control, when you live by their rules, you're telling them you're not worth the chase. And that, folks, is the fastest way to make them lose interest. Because nobody wants to be with someone they can control. People are obsessed with those who control their own lives, who aren't afraid to say no, who stand tall with or without them. The truth is, you're giving away all your power the moment you start bending for them. So, if you're really ready to truly start attracting them, to make them genuinely obsessed with you, then stay with me, because this video is all you need. Every piece of advice here is crafted to flip the dynamic in your favor. And before we proceed any further, go ahead and hit the like button under this video. It's a small step, but it shows you're serious about taking control of the game. Let's dive into what's going to change everything. Think about it. The more you bend, the more they see someone trying to impress them. But when you stop trying to be perfect, when you stand firm in who you are and live for yourself, that's when the obsession begins. People become drawn to those who have a life so full, a presence so bold, that being part of it feels like a privilege. And that's where you need to be, living your life unapologetically in a way that makes them want to be part of it. Instead of molding yourself into what you think they want, start focusing on you. What makes you tick? What are you passionate about? What do you want out of life outside of them? Stop focusing on how to make them love you and start building a life that you love. Because here's the secret. They will be drawn to someone who isn't desperate for their approval, but is instead invested in their own greatness. This isn't about pulling back to create mystery. This is about pushing forward, pushing into the best version of yourself, the version that doesn't need their validation. You stop chasing because you are the prize, not them. The moment they realize you're not bending your life around them, that you're building something extraordinary without their involvement, that's when they start wondering, why aren't they chasing me? What are they doing that's so captivating? And then the shift happens. They start chasing you, not because you made them, but because you've become someone worth being obsessed with. So, let's get brutally honest. Are you ready to stop playing their game? Are you ready to stop waiting for them to notice how great you are? Are you ready to stop proving and start living? If you are, then it's time to make the switch. They won't fall in love with the version of you that's trying. They'll fall in love with the version of you that doesn't need them, but instead makes them want you. Epicus once said, No man is free who is not master of himself. So, be the master of your life. Be the person who others want to follow, not because you're chasing them, but because you're too busy chasing your own dreams. Here's your challenge. Drop the comment, "I am the prize," below. Make it real. Let the universe know that you're no longer living for someone else's approval. You're living for yourself. Hit that like button if you're ready to take back control and share this with someone who needs to hear this hard truth today. Remember, you are the prize. Ready to become the prize they start chasing? Because once you master these dark Stoic tips, you won't have to lift a finger. They'll be the ones chasing you, constantly thinking about how to win your attention. These tips aren't about manipulation. They're about flipping the power dynamic and living in a way that demands respect and admiration. So, let's dive in and get you to the point where they start obsessing over you, not the other way around. Ready to make them chase? Let's go. Number 1. The push-pull method. So folks, the first thing that you need to understand is the push-pull method. If you've ever found yourself constantly texting, over-explaining, or trying too hard to win someone's attention, you're probably in the push phase. Giving too much of yourself, that desperation, that insecurity, it's killing your chances of ever becoming the person they can't stop thinking about. Here's where the most powerful antidote comes in, the push-pull method. This isn't about manipulating someone's emotions, but about creating a natural balance that people are drawn to. Think of it as the emotional ebb and flow that keeps them intrigued, always wanting more. If you're always there, always available, they start to take you for granted. But when you pull back just a little, not in a game-playing way, but in a way that gives you back your power, you become someone they need to figure out, someone they start to chase. Let's start with the basics. Human nature is attracted to challenge. When everything is handed to someone on a silver platter, they tend to lose appreciation for it. When you're always pushing your attention onto them through constant texts, compliments, or attempts to see them, you're giving too much. It's like pouring too much water into a glass. Eventually, it overflows, and they no longer appreciate the effort you're making. The pull phase, however, is where the magic happens. This is when you pull back just slightly, not disappearing or ghosting them, but simply focusing on yourself. You create space. You let them realize that your time, energy, and attention are valuable. And in that space, they begin to think about you. They start to notice the absence of your constant attention and begin to crave it. The key here is subtlety. You're not vanishing from their life. You're just stepping back enough for them to feel your absence. The push-pull method isn't about dramatic gestures or creating emotional confusion. It's about finding a rhythm in your interactions that keeps the connection exciting and balanced. So how do you do it? Start by giving. When you're initially connecting with someone, you do want to show interest. Be attentive, listen to them, engage, and be present. This is the push phase, where you're establishing that connection. Let them feel your energy, your warmth, and your authenticity. But the moment you notice yourself wanting to send that extra text or trying too hard to impress them, pause. This is where most people get stuck. Overgiving. Instead of flooding them with your attention, pull back slightly. Take a moment to focus on yourself, your goals, and your life. Let them notice that you're not always there, waiting for their response. The pull isn't about ghosting or playing hard to get. It's about showing that you have a full, rich life outside of your interactions with them. Maybe you're busy with a project, spending time with friends, or simply enjoying some personal time. When you pull back, it's not because you're disinterested, it's because you're investing in yourself, and that's something people find highly attractive. After pulling back, return with your attention in a way that feels natural. Send a thoughtful message, engage in a conversation, or plan something meaningful together. You're not pulling back indefinitely, just enough to create intrigue and make them realize that your presence is valuable. Over-pushing is when desperation kicks in. It's when you're constantly trying to win someone's attention, thinking that if you just show them enough of how amazing you are, they'll finally notice. But here's the harsh truth. No one is attracted to desperation. When you're always there, always giving, you send the message that you need them to feel whole, that you're seeking validation from outside yourself. This insecurity is what kills the attraction. The more you push, the more they pull away. That's why the push-pull method works so effectively. It puts you in control of your own energy, showing that you don't need to constantly give to feel worthy. Many people struggle with the pull phase because they fear that pulling back will push the other person away for good. But here's the reality. If someone walks away because you've created some space, they were never really invested in the first place. Pulling back slightly doesn't push them away. It gives them a chance to appreciate what you bring to the table. It's about shifting the dynamic from chasing their approval to making them chase your attention. When you stop constantly giving, you allow them to realize that your energy, your time, and your presence are something they can't take for granted. They start to think, why aren't they texting me as much? Or, what's going on in their life that I don't know about? And that's when they start coming to you. The push-pull method is all about reclaiming your power. You're not a puppet pulled in every direction by their whims. You're someone who gives when it feels right and pulls back when you need to focus on yourself. It's about balance, confidence, and showing that your time is valuable. When you live like this, people start to see you as the prize. They start to wonder how they can keep your attention rather than the other way around. As Epicus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The push-pull method isn't about what they're doing. It's about how you manage your energy, your boundaries, and your interactions. Now, if you're ready to accept the challenge, drop a comment below. Time to pull back. Go ahead, write it once and for all, and declare that you're taking back control. You control the flow of energy in your relationships. You are not chasing. You are creating space for them to come to you. This is your moment to shift the dynamic and start living for your value. Remember, you're not here to be at their feet. You're here to make them realize they should be working to earn you. And folks, this is the first dark psychology trick that you need to master. But believe me, this alone, although powerful, will not be enough to get you where you want to be. You see, mastering just one tactic won't fully flip the game in your favor. You need a full arsenal, a complete understanding of how to command their attention on every level. But when you start pulling back and living your own life with a sense of urgency, they'll notice. They'll start seeing that your time is precious, that your energy is valuable, and that being with you is something they can't afford to lose. Here's how you can apply this. First, take a look at how you've been showing up in the relationship. Are you always there when they call or text? Are you constantly making time for them, even if it means sacrificing your own plans? If so, you've been making it too easy. What you need to do is shift the dynamic. Start putting more focus on your own goals, your own passions, and your own life. Show them that you have things going on that are just as important, if not more important, than your relationship with them. When they see that your life doesn't revolve around them, it creates a subtle tension. They start to feel that you're someone who's constantly moving forward, always evolving, and if they don't keep up, they might lose you. This sense of urgency makes them realize they need to act. They need to invest in you before you move on to something bigger and better. This works because people are naturally wired to avoid loss more than they are to seek gain. The fear of missing out is a powerful motivator. And when they see you as someone who's in demand, someone who's not sitting around waiting for their attention, they start to value you more. The trick is to create this urgency without being too obvious. You're not going to say, "If you don't act now, I'm done with you." No, it's more subtle than that. You simply live your life in a way that shows you're constantly progressing, constantly moving forward. Maybe you're working on a new project, picking up a new hobby, or spending time with other people who value your time. You start to subtly shift your availability. You're not always free for them because you're busy building your own life. What happens next? So please, stay with me till the end, because you need to grasp the whole picture if you want to make them truly obsessed with you. Each tip builds on the last, and when combined, they create unstoppable momentum. Number 2, create a sense of urgency. So folks, after you've mastered the push-pull method, it's time to level up with the second dark psychology trick. Creating a sense of urgency. This is a powerful tool, not because it forces them to act, but because it taps into a primal instinct, the fear of missing out. People are wired to act when they feel like something valuable might slip through their fingers, and when you know how to leverage that sense of urgency, they'll start chasing you in ways they never did before. Think about this. When something is always available, always accessible, it becomes less valuable. It's human nature. We want what's rare, what we can't have easily, and most importantly, what we feel we might lose if we don't act quickly. This is exactly why creating a sense of urgency works so well when trying to attract someone. It triggers that feeling of scarcity, making them feel like they need to act now or risk losing you forever. Now, this doesn't mean giving them ultimatums or forcing deadlines on your interactions. You're not here to create artificial pressure. What you're doing is subtly shifting the energy, so they feel like they need to earn your attention before it's too late. They start to realize that if they don't step up, they might lose their chance with you. And believe me, once they feel that urgency, the game changes. Suddenly, they're the ones trying to figure out how to keep your interest. Let's break this down. You've probably noticed that people tend to value things more when they think they're slipping away. If you're constantly available, always initiating, always giving your time and energy without limits, they will start taking you for granted. They'll start noticing that your time and attention are no longer guaranteed. That uncertainty will trigger something in their mind. They'll start thinking, wait, why aren't they as available as they used to be? What's going on in their life that I don't know about? Could I lose them? And that's when they'll begin chasing, trying to secure their place in your life. This sense of urgency isn't about making them panic. It's about creating a healthy dynamic where they realize your value and understand that you're not someone who's going to wait around forever. You have options. You have a life that's full and meaningful, with or without them. And once they understand that, they'll be more motivated than ever to invest in you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you create urgency, it's not about manipulation. It's about shifting the quality of their thoughts. You want them to realize that being with you isn't something they can take for granted. It's something they need to work for, something they need to prioritize before it's too late. So, if you're ready to make them realize that they need to act fast or risk losing you, then it's time to create that sense of urgency. If you're serious about flipping the game in your favor, accept this challenge and let me know. Drop a comment below with the phrase, "Time to create urgency." This is your moment to take control and show them that you're not waiting around. You're moving forward, and they need to step up if they want to keep up with you. Number 3, use social proof to your advantage. So folks, the third dark psychology tactic you need to master is using social proof to your advantage. Social proof is one of the most powerful psychological triggers when it comes to attraction. It's not about manipulation, but about creating an environment where others see you as desirable, respected, and in demand. When people see that you're valued by others, it instantly boosts your status in their eyes. Humans are wired to follow the crowd. If others find you valuable, they start to believe they should too. Here's the thing. People tend to seek validation in what others are doing or thinking. If you're surrounded by people who respect you, want your attention, or praise you, the person you want to attract will naturally start seeing you differently. They'll start wondering, what is it about them that everyone else sees? Am I missing out? It taps into their fear of missing something valuable. Again, that primal instinct kicks in. Now, let's break down how you can use social proof to your advantage. It's not about boasting or showing off. Instead, it's about being seen in environments where people are drawn to you. Start by investing in your social circle. Make sure you're spending time with people who uplift you and who others respect. When the person you want to attract sees you with a crowd that values you, their perception shifts. You're no longer just one person trying to win them over. You're someone who's already admired by others. But social proof isn't just about real-life situations. In today's world, social media plays a huge role. Your online presence can make or break how someone sees you. If your social media is filled with interactions that show you're valued, comments, likes, people engaging with you, they'll notice. But here's the catch. Don't overdo it. Be selective about what you post. Highlight meaningful experiences, show that you're living a full life, and let the engagement speak for itself. When they see others responding to your energy, they'll start thinking they need to get in on it too. Here's an example. Imagine you post about an exciting project you're working on, and people start commenting, supporting you, and showing respect for what you're doing. The person you're trying to attract sees this, and suddenly, they're not just seeing you. They're seeing how others admire and respect you. That creates a subtle pressure. They start thinking, if everyone else values this person, I should too. It's human nature to want what others value, and that's what makes social proof so effective. You're not chasing them, but you're showing that other people want to be part of your world, and they'll start feeling like they should too. The beauty of social proof is that it doesn't feel forced. It's not about you trying to prove your worth. It's about others naturally doing it for you. So, if you're ready to flip the game and make them see your value through the eyes of others, it's time to embrace the power of social proof. Start by building your circle, curating your online presence, and positioning yourself as someone who is already respected and admired. When they see that, they'll realize that you are the person they should be paying attention to. And if you're ready to take control, drop the comment, "I command respect," below. Let the universe know that you're using social proof to your advantage and making them see what they're missing. So folks, we're almost at the midpoint of our video, and if you have any questions, a different perspective, or even a personal experience you'd like to share, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And if this video is really resonating with you and seems helpful so far, please stay with me till the end, because every next tip will build on the last. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up. Number 4, create emotional highs and lows. The fourth dark psychology tactic is one of the most powerful ways to keep someone deeply hooked, creating emotional highs and lows. This technique is all about creating a roller coaster of emotions that keeps the other person constantly engaged, thinking about you, and craving more interaction. It's not about manipulating or playing games, but understanding the power of contrast. People remember how you make them feel, and those emotional swings are what create an unforgettable connection. Here's how it works. When you're able to give them moments of intense happiness, affection, or excitement, those are the emotional highs. It's when they feel on top of the world because of you. But it doesn't stop there. You also create emotional lows, moments where you pull back slightly, where they feel a bit uncertain about where they stand with you. This contrast, the shifting between highs and lows, makes them crave your attention and feel emotionally invested in the relationship. Why does this work? Because the brain becomes more attached to things that cause emotional intensity. When they experience that up and down flow of emotions, they start to link you with those feelings. They become addicted to the excitement, to the unpredictability of how you make them feel. Think about it like a movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Those emotional highs and lows keep you engaged, and that's exactly what this tactic does. But let me be clear, this isn't about making them suffer or creating drama for the sake of it. It's about keeping things dynamic and not letting the relationship fall into a predictable routine. People crave excitement and novelty, and when you're able to give them emotional highs, whether through fun moments, deep conversations, or shared experiences, and then balance it with a bit of emotional distance, it makes them chase that next high. They'll start wondering, when is the next time I'm going to feel that spark? Here's an example. Let's say you're spending a great day together, sharing laughs, having fun, connecting. That's an emotional high. But after that, instead of continuing with constant interaction, you pull back a little. Maybe you take a day or two to focus on your own life, giving them space to miss you. That's the emotional low, not in a negative way, but in a way that makes them realize how much they enjoyed that time with you and want it again. This contrast builds emotional dependency, making them look forward to the next interaction with heightened anticipation. This strategy taps into their emotional instincts, making them feel connected on a deeper level. The key is balance. You don't want to overdo the lows, or they'll feel insecure, but you also don't want to stay in the highs constantly, or things will become predictable and lose their spark. To truly master this, remember you're creating moments they won't forget, and that emotional intensity is what keeps you in their thoughts long after you're gone. People want to feel alive, and by creating emotional highs and lows, you're making them feel everything when they're around you. So, if you're ready to take control of the emotional dynamic, drop a comment below. I control the highs and lows. Let the universe know that you're ready to keep them engaged, emotionally invested, and always coming back for more. Number 5. Emotional withdrawal at key moments. You might be surprised to learn that one of the most powerful tactics you can use is emotional withdrawal at key moments. It sounds counterintuitive, but pulling back at the right time can drive someone to obsess over you. This isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about creating space that forces them to realize what they might be losing. Here's the thing. When everything is going smoothly, when they think they have you figured out, and you're always emotionally available, they start to take you for granted. The connection becomes routine and predictable. But emotional withdrawal at key moments disrupts that predictability and makes them feel your absence in a way that triggers a desire to reconnect. Imagine you're in the middle of an emotional high. Things are going great. They're fully engaged. Maybe you've had a deep conversation or an intimate moment. The next step most people take is to keep the momentum going. But here's where you flip the script. After that emotional high, you pull back slightly. You don't disappear or create drama, but you give them just enough space to feel your absence. This sudden shift catches them off guard. They're left wondering, what's going on? Why aren't they as available as they were before? That little bit of uncertainty sparks curiosity and pulls them in even more. They start replaying the last conversation or interaction in their head, wondering what went wrong or what they can do to get your attention back. This makes them emotionally invested, because people naturally want what they feel they're losing. The beauty of this tactic is that it creates an emotional void they'll want to fill. When you're always there, constantly giving, they feel secure in their position with you. But by stepping back and emotionally withdrawing, you make them realize that your emotional presence isn't guaranteed. This adds value to your attention, because now they know it can't be taken for granted. It's important to understand that emotional withdrawal doesn't mean ghosting or being cold-hearted. It's about pulling back just enough to make them miss you, to make them realize that your emotional connection is something they need to work for. The key here is timing. You don't want to pull back when things are already tense or disconnected. You do it when they feel most secure, when they least expect it. This contrast amplifies the effect and makes them crave your presence even more. Let's break it down with an example. Maybe you've just had a meaningful interaction, whether it's a fun date, a great conversation, or a moment where they really opened up to you. Instead of following up with another long conversation or immediately responding to texts, you pull back. You take time for yourself, focus on your own life, and let them wonder what's going on in your world. This emotional withdrawal creates a space where they feel a little off balance, unsure of where they stand. That uncertainty drives them to reach out to you, to seek reassurance, and in turn, they become more emotionally invested. The fear of losing your emotional connection is what drives people to act. It's not about punishing them. It's about making them realize the value of what you bring to their life. When they feel the emotional distance, they'll work harder to close it, which strengthens the bond even further. So, if you're ready to make them realize the value of your emotional presence, then it's time to master this tactic. And remember, this isn't about playing games. It's about creating balance. When you give too much, they stop appreciating it. When you pull back at key moments, they're reminded of how much they actually want to be connected with you. If you're ready to use this power move, drop a comment below. I control my emotions. Let the universe know that you understand the power of emotional withdrawal and are ready to use it to strengthen connections, making them see your value without you constantly giving. Number 6, mirroring their insecurities. The 6th dark psychology tactic is mirroring their insecurities. This one taps deep into human nature and is a subtle yet incredibly powerful way to create a connection. People are drawn to those who understand them, who reflect what they're feeling, even if they don't fully realize it themselves. By mirroring someone's insecurities in a subtle way, you make them feel seen, understood, and strangely connected to you on a deeper level. Here's how it works. Everyone has insecurities, whether they're about their appearance, their social standing, or even their personal fears. When you gently reflect those insecurities back to them, they begin to feel like you're on the same wavelength. It's not about calling out their weaknesses or making them feel bad. It's about showing them, through your own actions or subtle conversation, that you understand the things they're struggling with. Let me give you an example. Suppose the person you're interested in has a hidden fear of not being good enough in social situations or feels insecure about being overlooked. By casually mentioning that you sometimes feel the same way in certain environments, or that you understand how tough it is to stand out, you're validating their internal struggles without making it obvious. It creates a bond, because now they feel like you get them in a way others don't. The magic of this tactic lies in subtlety. You're not overtly pointing out their insecurities. You're reflecting them in a way that makes them feel safe and understood. It's about meeting them where they are emotionally. Once they feel that emotional connection, they will start gravitating toward you because they feel like you understand them better than anyone else. Now, here's the dark part. When someone feels understood, especially about something as personal as their insecurities, they become more emotionally vulnerable and attached to the person who mirrors that understanding. They'll seek validation from you because you've acknowledged a part of them that they usually keep hidden. This creates a deep emotional connection that's hard to shake, and before they know it, they'll be drawn to you in a way they can't quite explain. But here's the thing. Do not abuse this tactic. The goal isn't to manipulate them into feeling bad about themselves. It's about creating empathy and connection. You're not highlighting their flaws. You're showing that you understand their feelings. That's where the power comes from. Not from exploiting their vulnerabilities, but from becoming the person they feel truly gets them. If you want to use this tactic effectively, keep it genuine. You don't have to mirror every insecurity they have. Just subtly reflect what you've noticed in your interactions. Maybe it's a fear of failure, a worry about how others perceive them, or even their need for validation. When you mirror these insecurities in a way that shows you share or understand those feelings, it builds a connection that's hard to break. If you're ready to take this next step, drop a comment below. I reflect understanding. Let the universe know that you're mastering the art of deep emotional connection through empathy and subtle reflection. Number 7. The silent validation technique. This is the 7th and final dark psychology tactic, the silent validation technique. You might think validation always needs to be vocal, compliments, words of affirmation. But here's the real power move, silent validation. It's all about non-verbal signals, subtle cues that make someone crave your approval without you ever having to say a word. The beauty of this technique is that it works below the surface. Instead of directly giving them the validation they're seeking, you offer it through actions, body language, or small, meaningful gestures. This keeps them constantly guessing, always trying to figure out where they stand with you. And because people naturally want to feel validated, especially by those they admire, they'll start chasing that silent approval. Here's how it works. Let's say the person you're interested in is trying to impress you, or they're sharing something they care about. Instead of jumping in with a compliment or validation, you give them a look, a nod of approval, a smile, or even just intense eye contact that lets them know you've acknowledged their effort. You don't overdo it with words. you make them feel validated without having to explicitly say it. This creates a deeper psychological connection because they start craving more of those subtle signs that they've earned your approval. Think about it. When you withhold verbal praise but give silent cues of acknowledgement, it leaves them wanting more. It keeps them engaged, constantly seeking out your subtle signals, trying to decode what they mean. The less verbal validation you give, the more they'll work to earn your attention. They'll start wondering, did I impress them? What does that smile mean? Am I doing enough to get their attention? This mental loop keeps them hooked on trying to earn that next small nod of approval. The silent validation technique is especially effective because it's nonverbal. You're not constantly showering them with compliments, which can sometimes feel overwhelming or insincere. Instead, you're letting your actions and presence do the talking. Whether it's your attentive listening, a thoughtful glance, or a well-timed pause, you're making them feel valued without saying it directly. This drives them to seek out your attention even more because silent approval feels rare and meaningful. Here's the key to making this work: consistency and balance. You can't be completely silent all the time. That would create distance. The trick is to alternate between subtle silent validation and occasional verbal acknowledgement. This way, they get just enough to keep them emotionally invested without ever feeling completely secure. It keeps them on their toes, wondering how they can get more of your attention and validation. It's human nature to seek approval, and when it comes in such a subtle form, it becomes even more desirable. The effort to decode your nonverbal cues draws them in deeper, creating a psychological need for your attention that becomes hard to shake. They'll start to associate those silent moments with earning your respect and approval, and they'll keep coming back for more. If you're ready to put this technique into action, drop a comment below. I validate without words. Let the universe know that you're mastering the art of silent validation, drawing them in with actions rather than words, and making them crave your attention on a deeper level. Before we wrap up, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear these powerful tips you've just learned. 7 dark psychology tactics that will shift the dynamic in your favor and make them obsessed with you. But remember, none of this works unless you take action. It's time to stop chasing and start commanding attention. And finally, drop a comment below with the phrase, "I control the game," if you're ready to put these strategies into practice. Every tactic, whether it's the push-pull method, creating emotional highs and lows, or mastering silent validation, requires you to step up and own your worth. The power is in your hands now. By using these techniques with intention and balance, you'll see the shift in how they react to you. But this isn't just about playing games. It's about taking control of your energy, your presence, and how others value you. Remember, you are the prize. So hit that like button, subscribe to keep leveling up, and don't forget to share this video. Let's get to work.